closing costs of any kind. This is absolutely crazy, insane lunacy. But if you call right now, you'll be saving interest daily by the time it takes you to hear this commercial about 20,000 times. So whether you got your mortgage last week, month, or year, you don't have a 2 3/4 APR. So call 855-875-CASH and fix it now.
First Mortgages, Impact Mortgage Corp., DBA Cash Call Mortgage, 1 City Boulevard, Orange, California, 92868, NMLS 128231. Equal housing lender, not licensed in all states, not available in Washington State. Call 855-657-9910 for licensing, terms, and restrictions.
That's 855-875-CASH for a 2 3/4% rate and APR today.
You are tuned to the dirt.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found.
That's affirmative. He has evidence proving Bigfoot.
The search for the flying saucers.
You are about to explore another world, another universe with the likes of ghosts, Bigfoot, and UFO.
I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know what it was.
He is overshadowed by the energy from the world teacher, and the world teacher uses him and gives a blessing.
And all of a sudden, I realized that the banging is coming from my kitchen. Instantly, I froze. I was so scared.
They said they heard like a disembodied scream, like a bloody scream, like something bad was happening.
And now, here comes your diva of the dark, Lori Schulz.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to The Dirt, and I just want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And Chris Singleton, thank you so much for being here with me.
As always, my pleasure.
Awesome. If you guys are listening and you would like to call in and tell us any of your paranormal experiences or have any questions or comments during the show, the number here is 530-742-5555. Am I good?
No, we lost our guest. He
he did? Okay.
I guess he hung up on us.
Okay, so you need that number again. There's no redial, right?
I do, yeah. Hold on a second. I'll be right around.
Okay, that sounds great. So, and everybody, I just want to let you know, actually, I am looking on my phone really quick here. Our guest is going to be talking about the paranormal. He's an author. You know what? We might have to just go to a quick commercial. It might be a little easier. So we're going to take a little commercial break. I apologize for the delay, but we're going to have Sam on the air with us in just a few moments. Stay tuned for The Dirt.
We're all in this together. That's why California Health and Wellness and Ampla Health partner to bring you quality health care under Medi-Cal.
Ampla Health has health centers throughout Northern California to meet your health care needs.
Your health affects your life. And California Health and Wellness, a Medi-Cal plan choice, has programs that make it simple to take charge of both.
We're all in this together. We're with you. We're for you.
To choose your plan and healthcare provider, call Healthcare Options at 1-800-430-4263. 1-800-430-4263.
The following is an important message for homeowners considering solar.
Recently, out-of-town big-box solar companies have been knocking on doors, pressuring homeowners to sign contracts for deals they say no one else can offer. If you've been approached in this way, stop. There is an alternative. We're SunPower by Alternative Energy Systems. We're local and can proudly say that most of the people that seek a second opinion choose us. And here's why. We install the best product with the industry's best warranty, guaranteed. We also offer all of the best options to go solar, including zero-down leases. Stop by and visit us today. We've got the North Valley covered with our Solar Design Center in Chico and our new office in Yuba City. Or simply call us at 345-6980. There is an alternative. SunPower by Alternative Energy Systems, a better local choice.
SolarEnergyForLife.com. Highway 99, next to Hughes Ski Hut, Chico.
Hi, everybody. We are back. So, again, thank you for tuning in to The Dirt. And today we're going to be talking, obviously, paranormal. And my guest actually is a paranormal author. His name is Sam Uptegrove. And he's going to be joining us to tell us a little bit about why he got into the paranormal, what are some of his books about, and how you can get a hold of some of them. So, Sam, are you here with us?
I'm here.
Hi, Sam. Welcome to The Dirt.
Well, how's everything in California?
It is going great. And where are you calling us from?
It's in Greenfield, Missouri, right at the south end of Stockton Lake in the beautiful Ozarks.
Oh, my goodness. And what time of day is it over there?
It's dark here. We're 2 hours ahead of you.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for taking the time on your Saturday night to be a part of our show. I really appreciate it.
What was that?
Oh, sorry. I said thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of our show. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, I never turned down a chance to talk about this stuff.
Good. That's good to know. So if anybody is listening and you would like to call in, again, the number is 530-742-5555. The lines are open. We welcome your calls. So, Sam, why don't you just give us a little bit of background on who you are and what got you into the paranormal?
Well, I'm a 64-year-old cancer survivor.
Congratulations.
And took early retirement. I spent most of my life in law enforcement, my adult life, and I've been investigating what are called paranormal incidents since I was a teenager. I did my first Bigfoot interview with a witness at 17 years old.
Cool. And tell us a little bit about that. Like, are there Bigfoot over in Missouri or what?
Yes, it was up in, I grew up in Independence, Missouri, and this was actually one of the guards at an Army ammunition plant who was driving the perimeter fence. It was a very large wooded area, you know, like a lot of military installations are. And he saw something that crouched down in the ditch outside of the fence and thought it was a bear and shined the spotlight on it, and it stood up and walked across the road on two legs.
Wow.
And he got a real good look at it, and we did find some tracks afterwards. So, and kind of I hate to say this, but I've listened to wood knocks, I've heard vocalizations, and, you know, several different signs of Bigfoot, footprints, the whole thing. I have never even caught a glimpse of one in all those years.
So you're just a Bigfoot believer and hunter on faith alone, huh? And just people that you've contacted that you actually believe in what they say?
There's an old saying that one of my uncles used a lot, and it deals with a lot of the witnesses that I've talked to. Mm-hmm. Somebody will say, well, do you believe that story? And I say, no, I don't believe the story, but I do believe the person that told it.
Okay. That's fair enough, and I think that's a pretty fair assessment.
Well, there are a lot of very credible witnesses out there that have had a Bigfoot encounter. One of them down here in the Ozarks, and he's in law enforcement, so he has to keep his name out of it. But he came around a corner about 2 years ago on a country road, and there was one squatted down over a roadkill possum. And by the time he got the car stopped, it was about 15 to 20 feet away from him. And he said basically it just looked up at him with a look like telling him where he could go, grabbed up the possum and stomped off into the woods, just like it was disgusted. Matter of fact, when I did the column on it, I called it the case of the interrupted lunch.
Okay, so one thing I find super interesting right now, I've never really heard anybody say for sure what they eat. You know, I assume an animal or a mammal that's that size would obviously eat meat, but maybe that's why a lot of people see him on the side of the road or something. I mean, it's interesting that he actually saw him eating something. I think that's kind of a cool sighting.
Well, there is a lot of evidence that indicates that Bigfoot has a very wide range of things that it will eat. It will gather, they've been known to pull up and gather edible roots, to actually hunt and kill animals as large as the deer, and also exist on carrion. And, a lot of times you'll hear coyotes around where there's Bigfoot activity, and they're basically waiting for him to get done so they can go for the remains, just like they would with the wolf pack.
You know, it kind of makes sense. I mean, larger animals, I mean, if you look at just us as humans, I mean, we not only eat vegetables and things like that, but a lot of people eat meat.
They are an opportunity eater, would be, I don't know if that's a proper term or not, but they eat what's available. They have been seen scavenging in suburban areas in trash cans, just like raccoons and all will do.
Seriously? I have never heard that. I mean, I guess I heard of them coming up to like farms and different things and, you know, kind of taking things. But one thing I heard before is that they don't really take more than they actually just need. But I'm not really sure. I haven't heard too much about them going into like suburban areas.
Well, one of the things that we discussed when you and I visited earlier that I'm a firm believer in is that Bigfoot they're not all alike. Number one, they are close enough to human. They are individuals with their own personality and their own traits and likes and dislikes and all. And also, I think that there are subspecies from one area to another that's adapted to the environment they're in.
Mm-hmm.
You take the ones that you have out north of you, out there along the coast. They are large, you know, usually 7 foot or taller, stocky, robust individuals. And the typical skunk ape down in Florida is probably a little over 5 foot at the most, and they're slender built, have much smaller feet. Then you get down in the southwestern area, and you have a lot of them down there that are almost all light-colored and have a thinner coat of hair. So they adapt to their environments, and I think that's what that's evidence of. They've been here a long time.
Well, it's interesting. I actually had Ed Brown. I'm not sure if you're familiar with who he is. He has it's called The Big Truth, and he was on my show. I think it was last weekend, and we were talking about Bigfoot. And we actually had the similar conversation about how, I mean, it's obviously going to be a little bit different, you know, the species from location to location. What were you going to say, Chris?
I was going to say Ed's actually watching live on Facebook right now.
Really? That's awesome. Hey, Ed, thanks for tuning in. That's great. So, I mean, I find that to be really interesting, though, because, I mean, if you, like we were also talking earlier, let's just go with the animal, a dog. Okay, we've got all different types of dogs. I mean, I have a little Yorkie. Well, actually, my daughter, if she's listening, she'll correct me on that. It's her dog. But she's only like 4.5 pounds. And then you've got like Rottweilers and everything else and every different type. But they're dogs. If somebody said, what is that? That's a dog. So, I mean, literally, there's going to be different kind of species, I believe. If there was truly a Bigfoot, it's going to... The way it looks and the locations and the things it eats, its diet, the way it houses itself or whatever, shelters, is going to be a little different depending on the weather and location.
One thing that I think is kind of funny with the scientific establishment, and I grew up in the 60s, so you know how I feel about the establishment, but there are, like here in Missouri, there are bees that are placed into different species because of the number of black rings they have around their tail. And yet, a Great Dane and a Chihuahua are the same species. They're just different breeds. That never made sense to me, the whole classification system.
Mm-hmm.
When there is that much difference between two animals, I feel like they're at least subspecies at the very least.
So that's what you're referring to when you're saying subspecies of Bigfoot. You're basically saying, I mean, it's the same as a breed, basically, kind of? Okay.
Well, just like there are different races of humans and people in different parts of the world have different typical appearances and all. I feel like Bigfoot is the same way. I feel they're a lot closer to us than a lot of people like to think about.
I'm going to ask a question that I asked Ed since I know he's listening. I cannot help but toy with this question a little bit. Have you ever entertained or even heard of the idea of Bigfoot being interdimensional? More of, okay, yeah. What's your opinion on that?
Okay, my opinion on that is, number one, I'm not going to say that he's not, because I don't know that.
Okay.
As far as my opinion, I am skeptical, but I think a lot of that is just because I have so much trouble accepting the interdimensional idea. They act and all more like a very intelligent, highly evolved animal than they do. There are so many different versions of that theory.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one of them is that they are actually just animals, but they are interdimensional animals that they send in here, to test the effect of our environment on them or whatever. There are others that believe that Bigfoot is actually the one who is coming through the portals and creating them, that they are a super intelligent species.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you go back to the reports, the super intelligent species are very seldom seen on the road eating roadkill.
I know. See, okay, so that's kind of my problem with both too. I can't say that I think one way for sure versus another. I really don't. When I think about the fact that they're totally elusive and that there have been people I think that are, great witnesses that we could trust or whatever, I would say, I believe that they're there. But I mean, the fact that they're hard to find. I mean, we've got people literally hunting them down. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even as paranormal, ghost hunters, let's say, at least people get evidence. And I guess there is evidence. Nobody's captured a ghost, really. I mean, I guess if you look at it like that, I mean, nobody's captured a ghost, but yet, a lot of people believe in ghosts, and Chris has got an opinion here for this.
Everyone, no one's really found a ghost, if you will. I mean, there's no official proven scientific proof that one's been found, or else we'd know they're real.
Right.
There wouldn't be the questions. But, yeah, it's the same thing. There's no one's found a Bigfoot. We've found evidence of ghosts. We found evidence of Bigfoot. We found things that, you can attribute to ghosts, or you can attribute to sure, but
yeah,
no one's ever found one.
So, Chris, I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think if there is a Bigfoot, it's interdimensional, or
no,
how do you
I don't
feel?
Think so. I don't.
You think just like a mammal?
I mean, yeah. I think just I don't really know what to think of them, honestly. I mean, I look at the old Native American stories about how, their version of Bigfoot is actually just someone from their tribe that went off to live in the woods and become this animal. There's some stories, there's even legends like that, so it could be anything. I don't know.
I know, I'm so,
you're bringing up the Native American legends, and that's something that I'm really into, because I'm very proud of my Cherokee ancestry, and I am, well-versed in the Native American spirituality and beliefs and all. And when you translate the name of virtually every tribe who talks about Bigfoot uses for them, it is not referring to an animal. It's called the man of the woods, or the forest people, or something indicating, or a tribe. It's something indicating they're human, or close to it.
Okay. And so, I guess, what does that mean then?
Well, to me, I mean, you asked me about interdimensional, and and that's where I went with it. But I don't think that a living being can be interdimensional. I think that we're, living beings are made to live in a certain dimension. Maybe we can figure out how to cross them sometimes, like science is starting to figure out how to, mess with time space, if you will, and that time is the next dimension, right? But that's the dimension we live in. We live in the fourth dimension, if you will.
And true, and part of the reason that we're not interdimensional is because we're in our bodies.
Right, exactly.
So really to go to another dimension would be okay, that
you'd have to be able to change your entire
shape-shifting. There we go, back to Indian stuff.
So I just don't think something that's alive can be interdimensional.
Well, it's according to your definition of alive. For example, in one sense, the way that most people look at a ghost or a spirit is they're in a different dimension. But, we can see them and all just like we do a Bigfoot, and sometimes just as clearly.
Right, but a Bigfoot is clearly contained in some living flesh, right? That's what we truly believe, and we know there's no living flesh with a ghost.
Even if it can manifest itself as something that we can see what it would physically look like if it were here. You know what I mean? Like an apparition?
I don't think so.
I mean as far as the ghost goes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can see it, but it's still not anything tangible. Like you can't go feel it, although it can hit us or scratch us. I don't even know.
Sometimes, who knows?
This is really complicated,
It
guys.
is. It's complicated stuff.
It's very complicated.
That's why we're investigating it.
And I'm going to interview the interviewer. Are you familiar with what infrasound is?
I mean, not really, not a lot.
It's a very low frequency sound that you cannot hear, but it can affect you.
Sure.
They've even experimented with it for military weapons.
I'm familiar with it in that way.
Causes confusion and everything else. There are several predators out there that are known to use infrasound in confusing prey long enough to get them. And now there are more and more people that are saying they felt confused or disoriented or whatever during a Bigfoot encounter, and it sounds exactly like the effects of infrasound.
Mm-hmm.
So possibly just like a lot of other predators, they have that ability.
Could be. All right, so now you have written a few books. I know you're, an accomplished author. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your books, and did you mostly just write about Bigfoot or some of your other paranormal experiences?
It's about all things unexplained.
Okay, what's the name of your book?
There are a lot of Bigfoot reports in there. Basically, the first volume, which I'm actually picking up from the printer next Wednesday, and we are taking orders for it.
Okay.
It consists entirely of incidents that I have investigated myself, not just stuff I picked up off the internet.
And what's the title of your book?
It's called Unknown Dimensions. That comes from the name of my column. And it's going to be a 4-volume series. The first one that's getting ready to come out covers up through 1999, and then I'm going to do another one from that point up through the end of this year. The third one is going to be more of a, for the stuff that doesn't have a particular date to it, like the ghosts, the haunted places and everything like that. Basically what it amounts to, since the area that I cover is Missouri and the 8 states that adjoin it, it's like a paranormal travel guide to the places that are open to the public that are haunted, places where Bigfoot and UFOs are seen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically basically. And then the fourth one, and I guess that's the one where I get a little egotistical. The fourth one is going to consist of my opinions and my outlook on a lot of this phenomena that I've been investigating for so many years.
Oh, that's cool. I think that'll be really interesting.
That long you do form opinions.
I think so,
like
too.
We've been talking about.
I agree. And we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we'll get more into some of your experiences that you've had that have led you to so much interest in the paranormal. So everybody stay tuned for The Dirt, and we'll be right back with Sam.
Contractors, plumbers, landscapers, and everyone who carries tools and supplies. Dow Lewis Motors is your GMC commercial truck and fleet headquarters. Dow Lewis Motors has your work truck solution with GMC half-ton and three-quarter-ton trucks and the commercial cap or shell that helps you get your work done. Go to DowLewisMotorsBlogspot.com and watch a video tour of the new Naphide KUV Low Pro service body. It's a service body on the outside and has an awesome sortable organization system. Comfortable to drive, takes you where you need to go, and gives you the ability to get the work done on site too. While you're on the Blogspot, take a look at the new light-duty work truck that saves time and money. It's equipped with the ARE DCU commercial shell. Go to DowLewisTrucks.com and DowLewisMotors.blogspot.com to see how they are your GMC commercial truck solution. Also featuring hard-working harbor truck bodies on Highway 20 at George Washington Boulevard at the west end of Yuba City's new Auto Row. Dow Lewis Motors.
Is your savings account earning any interest? Why not invest in physical silver and gold from your local coin shop in Yuba City? A purchase of $1,500 or more saves you state sales tax, starting you off 7.5% ahead on your investment.
Even a few ounces of silver or a handful of Morgan dollars each month can help secure your financial future. Check out our inventory. We'll answer your questions right here at Yuba City Coin and Bullion by the 10th Street Bridge.
And all you treasure hunters,
we buy coin collection, sterling silverware, tea sets, candle holders, broken or unwanted jewelry, diamonds, and we sell it all too.
Your investments can bring big returns at your local coin shop, Yuba City Coin and Bullion.
438 Colusa Highway by the 10th Street Bridge. Friendly service, fair prices. Yuba City Coin and Bullion. 755 Coin.
You, your machines, your operators, and your dealer, all working together to improve your business. Welcome to John Deere Farm Site, a strategy built around three key elements: your farm equipment, our technology solutions, your John Deere dealer. It equals John Deere Farm Site. The future of farming is in sight. Visit Valley Truck and Tractor Company in Yuba City, Chico, Willows, Gridley, Dixon, Robbins, Woodland, Elk Grove, and Colusa. Contact them on the web at valleytruckandtractor.com.
This is Life Issues with Brad Mattis, president of Life Issues Institute.
Planned Parenthood is doing what it does best, trying to divert attention away from what goes on behind closed doors. The abortion giant filed a lawsuit against the Center for Medical Progress, or CMP, the organization that produced the revealing videos about them. The abortion chain is attempting to charge CMP under the Racketeer Influencing Corrupt Organization Act. Even pro-abortion activists doubt their success because the Supreme Court's twice ruled against similar cases. CMP did what programs like 60 Minutes have done for decades: investigative journalism. Planned Parenthood was caught red-handed committing horrid atrocities they can't defend, so they're attempting to shoot the messenger so they can continue killing babies and in the process maiming and killing their mothers.
Like us on Facebook at Life Issues and stay informed, more informed than you've ever been.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to The Dirt, and I want to welcome Sam Uptegrove back to the show. We were talking Bigfoot, and he's actually a published author. And so, Sam, you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Okay, so you mentioned before when we were talking that that you actually had some other paranormal experiences. Do you want to detail what those experiences were, or are they just Bigfoot related, or do you have other paranormal experiences you'd like to share?
Well, Bigfoot experiences, like I said, I've heard the vocalizations, the wood knocks, excuse me, seen footprints and all, but I've never actually seen one. Now, in the ghosts and hauntings and some of the other stuff, what actually got me started when I was only 8 years old, we watched the light above our neighborhood in Independence, Missouri. The whole neighborhood was out watching it, and it did some of the most unbelievable maneuvers you have ever seen in your life.
That's really cool.
Well, I was kind of precocious and, reading ahead of my age, and my mom always encouraged it by, getting me books about things I was interested in. And she went out the next day and bought me a copy of Fate magazine and a copy of one of Donald Kehoe's Flying Saucer books.
Oh, cool. That's so neat.
And I've been hooked ever since.
So, I have to ask you, so do you believe in aliens then, obviously?
Yes, I do. It's the only thing that makes sense. What these craft are doing, if it was anything that our government had, they wouldn't be messing around with these, B-2 bombers and everything like that, because these craft could absolutely fly circles around them. In a few cases, they actually have. But, as I have opinions on a lot of things, like the ghosts and hauntings. Now, this is where I kind of drift off a little bit from a lot of people. Do not get me wrong. I'm a firm believer that ghosts exist and that people see them. But I think, what I used for a column that I did on it one time is, when is a ghost not a ghost? I think that emotions produce psychic energy.
Okay.
And a very strong emotional event can imprint an image, a sound, or some sensory experience upon a particular location. And when the conditions are right and someone is there who's sensitive to it, they're going to pick it up. A real good example, the beaches over around Normandy in France from the D-Day invasion. There are people around there that have sat out in their yards that live close to, but, like within a couple of miles of Normandy Beach, and have listened to all the gunfire and the screams.
Wow.
And are you familiar with the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas?
Yes.
That place is probably one of the most legitimately and heavily haunted buildings I have ever set foot in personally.
So you went there. See, I haven't.
Oh, I have been down there. I've spent hours and hours in that place. One night when I was spending the night there, I was up on the second floor, where there's been a lot of activity. At right around 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard something out in the hallway. So I got up, went over and opened the door. I listened to the sound of and I always joke about it, just like grocery carts, all hospital gurneys have got one squeaky wheel. And I listened to what sounded like the footsteps in the soft shoes like a nurse wears, pushing a gurney past my room.
Wow.
But there was no sense of presence, which, like I said, I am somewhat sensitive. There was none of that cold chill that you get when there's a spirit present. None of that was present. All there was the sound. Now think about the emotions that would be involved for a nurse back in the 1930s when and for the listeners who aren't familiar with it, there was a so-called doctor that had a cancer clinic there and claimed to cure cancer. And people from all over the country that were desperate sent their family there. And he'd take their money every month, even after they died.
Mm-hmm.
When they died, if their family was off in another state, he would have the body put down in a cold room, as they called it, in the basement, and hold on to it and keep collecting the money from the family until they sent a letter and said they were going to come visit, and then all of a sudden it'd be, oh, so sorry, they just passed away. And
that's so wrong in so many ways. I can't even.
Yes. But this also was during the Depression years.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you were a nurse or who you were, if you had a job and was getting paid and wanted to feed your family, you didn't let go of that job.
Right.
Imagine the emotional turmoil of a nurse pushing a newly deceased body down the hallway to go down to the cold room,
mm-hmm.
knowing what she was taking part in and not having any way out of it except for her family to go hungry.
So did you ever have a paranormal experience that was more like an intelligent interaction with what you would call like more of a ghost, not an imprint?
Oh, absolutely. I had an experience one time that I still hesitate to talk about it because it was so strange.
And it's late at night. Uh-oh, it's going to be in your mind right before you go to sleep. You might have bad dreams.
This was in a private residence.
He's like, whatever.
Yeah. I was at a private residence where they had experienced, signs of a haunting and all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden the woman that I'm talking to looks past me and gets that look on her face like, oh, no. And I turn around, and there is an older gentleman dressed like out of the early 1900s or whatever, standing there in the hallway, and he said, well, didn't you come to see me?
He even spoke?
I mean, just faded out.
Okay, that is that's like the ghost hunter's, I don't know, trophy, right, Chris? I mean, first of all, a full body apparition, let alone hearing a voice without it just being on a digital recording.
Yeah, when you can,
that's insane.
When you can hear the voice yourself, that's a pretty special encounter that most people don't get to have that.
Yeah, that is so cool. You just won the what is that belt? The NFL, the Super Bowl, whatever it is, the World Cup.
I give my grandmother credit for that. My grandmother was full-blooded Cherokee,
mm-hmm.
and she was what the native people referred to as a spirit walker.
Oh, wow.
And
so a psychic or medium?
In modern terms, it's what most people use the word shaman.
Okay.
For. And, there were, I could just tell you stories the rest of the night about my grandmother. A lot more than we could get in an hour show.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I inherited a lot of that from her. And whether it comes to Bigfoot or the spiritual aspects like ghosts and everything like that, my knowledge of the Native American spirituality definitely influences my opinion.
So now the lady that was with you when you saw that full body apparition, now she actually could hear that ghost speaking as well, though, at that moment, right?
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
That's so cool.
Her and I talked about it afterwards, and I think that a lot of it has to do not only with the person who's seeing its ability,
mm-hmm.
but I think that spirits are able to kind of control the scenery, to
mm-hmm.
a certain extent, whether they are visible. A lot of times people hear, like I heard, the footsteps. Now that may just be an imprint, from the emotions involved. But then you have people, and I have a real good friend, and he's proven it to me so many times because I would get something from somebody else, a family heirloom, and you could hand it to him, and he'll close his eyes, hold it, close his hand around it, and concentrate, and he'll start telling you things that only family members would know about who that piece of jewelry or whatever belonged to. So I think there's a lot of abilities out there, and because our society denounces them and, you know, it doesn't go with the prevailing religious belief, I think people suppress their own abilities.
I agree. I think that could be definitely a part of the reason. Well, or also fear. I mean, I think a big part of the reason people are afraid to even look at something that they don't understand is just out of fear of what it means for them or their mortality or immortality, all those kind of things, you know. I think it just, in general, death in itself is very mysterious and scary in a lot of ways. I mean, a lot of people say that they're not afraid of it and they've had near-death experiences or whatever reason they have for being afraid or not being afraid, I think has a lot to do with what they'll verbalize as their belief or what they actually are, you know, willing to believe in, I guess.
I agree completely. And people are that have these abilities suppress them or ignore them.
Mm-hmm. I think everybody has the potential to have the same abilities when it comes to that. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, referring to the native spirituality,
mm-hmm.
A real good example of how it differs from the way that modern people look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the experiences where that someone has a loved one die and they're mourning and all, and the ghost of that person comes by to let them know that they're okay, and maybe may show up later when that person is having a personal crisis
mm-hmm.
to give them support or whatever. The typical Native American, when you told them a story like that, they just look at you and say, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, visits and getting advice and knowledge from those who had lived before was a very large part of almost every Native American group's spirituality.
Yeah, because when you think about this, and I think Chris agrees. I know you totally believe in, like, you know, the other side and spirituality and everything like that. Mm-hmm. I think all three of us here are very into that. But don't you agree that when you look at tribes or the way Indians or just certain Native Americans or whatever, the way that they believe, I think they're stronger in that just because they haven't been, I mean, is it the media or what is it, like government, like what part of it is like making people suppressed as far as a whole, as far as like American, I don't know, how would you want to say it, like, because
to me it's distractions.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I've spent a few months just not being, like, I just living out in the woods, you know, and you kind of realize a few things when that happens, is that, you know, there's not all these distractions around, so you stop looking for them. You kind of just start spending time outside. And
or maybe it's technology.
At night, you just look at the sky for a long time. You know, you just, that's what I mean by distractions. Technology, television, video games. It's just other places to put your eyes that you don't have to go look at the world. You don't have to go look at nature and take it in and think about it and meditate on what nature is and what it means. And
exactly. Instead of us just feeling it and experiencing the spirituality
we're
of
completely
everything around,
disconnected.
we're using technology to try to prove what we should know. We don't need to have proof when we're all one anyway.
We're completely disconnected from the natural world, and a connection to the natural world is what, you know, is what you need to understand this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
what you need to see it.
Yeah, we use our technology to prove that there's a natural world.
Right.
Instead of just be a part of it. Instead of just being it.
I had a personal experience that it wasn't paranormal by any means, but it was very enlightening.
Okay.
Here several years ago, some friends of mine, I was living down in Joplin, and they lived out in the country. they called me, and they had family that was coming in that lives in Indianapolis. And they were going to have a big cookout and all, and they wanted me to come out, and meet everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They had a 7-year-old boy. I'm trying to think how to put this nice. He had to go wee-wee, and he thought it was so cool that he was out in the country where they told him, well, if you don't want to go in the house to the bathroom, just go around behind the house and step off into the brush and have at it. And he went to do that. That boy come back around the house. He was as white as a sheet, and he kept saying, what is that? What is that? He had heard his first whippoorwill, and it terrified him. He had never heard one before.
Really? And that's just, that's sad. But at least he heard it. I mean, it took until he was 7, but... it just shows people need to get outside, right? Instead of, here, kids, here's the computer, here's the TV, here's this. What about going for a hike and just teaching our kids, listen, you don't need a ton of stimulation as far as that goes. What you need is to calm yourself. All it is a rat race, everything all around us. And it's like to actually find that healthy center, I think you have to find some solitude and a way to get away and actually experience listening to the trees and the leaves and all the birds and all the things happening all around and just soaking into it and going, wow, I'm a part of something greater here, not just on my phone or whatever,
Well, your colleague there, I love the comment that he made because it is something that I do on a regular basis. Just get out in the woods and just reconnect with nature.
And what the best part about that was that when you're out there in nature for a long time, you start to realize that it's maybe the way you thought about older, people from the past or indigenous peoples that live in tribes, you may think that they're not as smart as we are because we're all civilized, but they are, you're just as smart out there when you have nothing. You're still figuring things out in the world. You can still understand basic,
Actually, you know what? Did we have this conversation?
I think we might have.
Because we were talking about
every time I watch these old shows, it's like they paint people, that didn't have technology as if they were just dumb idiots.
Uncivilized
Can't figure anything out in their own head, but everyone knows basic math. Everyone knows how to just start figuring stuff out.
But not only that,
and that's what you do.
But what about survival, listening to the land? All of a sudden, all of the birds get quiet, and you're aware of your surroundings enough to be intelligently a part of the spiritual world.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that part of it, I see where you're going with this. Our intelligence, our minds, everything that we have, we're here. It's just where do you want to put your learning, or where do you want to gain your information?
Right.
Do you want to gain it from the spiritual world? Do you want to gain it from Earth? Do you want to gain it from just learning this and base your intelligence on this? Somebody who's living in Africa and they are surviving lions and attacks and they know how to survive in the world. You put one of us out there, we're going to go, wow, we really want to hang around that guy. He's been here. He's, 90 years old. I want to survive in Africa. I don't, you know what I mean? So there's all different ways that we use our intelligence.
Yeah.
It's not that they have a lack thereof.
Right.
Right? Sam?
Well, every once in a while, when I take one of those trips off in the woods, and I've been known to have somebody drop me off and just disappear into the woods when I had vacation coming or whatever, and tell them, pick me up in a week. I'll be waiting for you.
That's
and
cool.
I can go out there. I know what plants I can eat. I know how to catch fish without, a rod and a reel. Know how to survive out there. And I don't even, it's not even a problem for me. But there are so many of these kids anymore. The classic example that I've seen, when you drive down the interstate, not in an urban area, but out on the cross-country open highway on the interstate, here's all these families going through, and the kids have never been in this part of the country before, so back when I was growing up, I would have been plastered to the window. Look at that, look at that, look at that. They're back there playing the video game or whatever, and they don't even see the world that they're going by.
They missed the in-between from point A to point B.
Yeah.
You know, if they're all of a sudden if everything vanished but them, they'd be like, how did I get here and where am I? And not only that, are they able to survive their hunger pains without a drive-through? You know, like a fast food joint. It's like you're saying, it's really important. We are made to be able to be a part of this earth and survive and be, you know, a contributing factor to life in itself.
Well, people that pay attention like I do, you know, to the news, I always look for, you know, what does that tell me, not just listen to it from habit. And stories that I have heard right on the news was like one of them, there was a gentleman that had gone off during a severe blizzard.
We have to make this story quick because we have 1 minute left, so you might want to tell the story or say you're going to put it on your Facebook page.
Well, I'll tell you what. I hope this isn't the last time that we do this.
I hope it isn't either, and you're always welcome back to the show. You've been such a pleasure, and I want to say thank you so much. And would you like to give your link, any information for people to get in contact with you directly?
Okay. Now you're going to put that link on the program's website, right?
I absolutely will, but any of the listeners, they might want to know how to get a hold of you as well.
Okay, I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed this very much. And
me too.
Give me a little bit of notice anytime you need somebody to fill in, and I'll be right back.
Okay, well, what do you have, like a Facebook name or anything that you'd like people to get a hold of you at?
I haven't created I'm on Facebook, and you know, it's just under my name, Sam Uptegrove.
Okay.
And they'll know me because they'll see the wolves on the...
I know. I love the wolves. All right. Well, I want to say thank you so much for being on the show. I will post your information on my Facebook page. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to The Dirt, and I will be here next week, same time, same place. Thank you very much.
Fox News Radio, I'm Kathleen Maloney. A Saturday in the park turned deadly in San Diego. A pickup truck careened off the San Diego Coronado Bay Bridge and crashed into a crowded park.
The truck landed more or less in the middle of those people. There are 4 dead, 2 major trauma, including the driver who was alone in the pickup truck, 7 minor trauma and injuries. All 9 of those have been transported to various hospitals in the San Diego area.
Lee Swanson of San Diego Fire Rescue says the truck couldn't make a curve and swerved from over the railing of the bridge into that popular park.
A lot of artists are there. A lot of festivals are also held there. Rallies, barbecues, family outings.
Reporter Phil Farrar of Fox affiliate KOGO. The San Diego Coronado Bay Bridge now closed in both directions while police investigate. Donald Trump making the campaign rounds in 3 states today, continuing to defend himself over charges that he was sexually abusive to several women.
We can't let them get away with this, folks. We can't. Total lies. And you've been seeing total lies. But we're going to stop it. We're not going to back down. And remember this, it's a rigged election because you have phony people coming up with phony allegations with no witnesses whatsoever, ending up from 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Trump speaking in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Hillary Clinton off the campaign trail this weekend, preparing for Wednesday's final presidential debate. A 9-nation meeting in Switzerland to end the violence in Syria did not get very far. It ended after just 4 hours. Secretary of State John Kerry says some new ideas for achieving peace in Syria are being considered, and there will be more meetings. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
It all comes down to this. The final contest.
A lot of people are worried that maybe they wouldn't have a place in Donald Trump's America.
The final chance to win your vote.
We have a divided nation because people like her, and believe me, she has tremendous hate in her heart.
And one of the most trusted, experienced names in news moderates the candidates before America decides. Watch the final presidential debate with moderator Chris Wallace, October 19th on Fox News Channel, America's election headquarters.
The candidates are making their stands. The people are making their choice.
People have never seen anything like this.
This has been a crazy political season.
Education, immigration, healthcare, the economy, and our security. Our future hangs in the balance, and you need the facts.
Powerful reports, exclusive interviews.
Every angle covered, all of the fallout.
Powerful, fair, and balanced coverage.
No one can bring it to you like the Fox News Channel.
That's why we are most watched and most trusted.
3 men are under arrest, accused of plotting a bomb attack in a Kansas City apartment complex.
FBI agents say that these men were part of a militia called the Crusaders and that their goal was to create terror throughout the community. They thought the bombings could wake people up across the country. Now, it's clear when you read the complaint against these men that they were fueled by hate. Authorities say Curtis Wayne Allen, Patrick Eugene Stein, Gavin Wayne Wright stockpiled guns, ammunition, and explosive materials, and that all planned to bomb the apartment complex in Garden City, which is in West Kansas. The complex is home to 120 Somali immigrants and a mosque, and according to investigators, Stein called the immigrants cockroaches and said the only good Muslim is a dead Muslim.
Fox's Will Carr. Francisco Linder is the hero at the plate again in the ALCS.
Line drive, base hit up the middle. And Cleveland's back on top.
That call courtesy of TBS. Francisco Lindor's bat to the rescue again. Lindor hitting an RBI single in the bottom of the third to score Rajai Davis. That provides the deciding run as the Indians beat the Blue.
We're all in this together. We're with you. We're for you.
To choose your plan and healthcare provider, call Healthcare Options at 1-800-430-4263. 1-800-430-4263.
The following is an important...
Out-of-town big box solar companies have been knocking on doors, pressuring home.
Hi, everybody. We are back.
Highway 99.
Peanuts, brownies, and cocoa fudge blended with
I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know what it was.
He is overshadowed by the inner
PR today.
And Ampla Health.
Sam on the air with us and just a tune for the dirt.
Quarter-ton trucks.
More into
Contractors, plumbers, land.
Okay, well, what do you have, like a Facebook tuning in to the dirt?
Fox News Radio, I'm Kathy.